What is seen is not always what is real.
Hi all, I'm Chain and this is Exposed. Today I'm going to talk about Project Bluebeam. I'm sure a few of you have heard about it, or read about it, or seen or something about it, but many people haven't. So I want to get this out there because I've got a feeling that it's still going today. The infamous NASA Bluebeam project has 4 different steps in order to implement the New Age religion, with the Antichrist at its head. We must remember that the New Age religion is the very foundation for the New World Government, without which religion the dictatorship of the New World Order is completely impossible. I repeat that, without a universal belief in the New Age religion, the success of the New World Order will be impossible. That is why Bluebeam project is so important to them, but it has been so well hidden until now. The first step concerns the breakdown of all archaeological knowledge. It deals with the setup with artificially created earthquakes at certain precise locations on the planet, where supposedly new discoveries will finally explain to people the error of all fundamental religious doctrines. The fascination of this information will be used, the falsification, of this information will be used to make all nations believe that their religious doctrines have been misunderstood for centuries and misinterpreted. Psychological preparations for that first step have already been implemented with the film 2001 Space Odyssey, Star Trek series, Star Wars, all of which deal with invasions from space and coming together of all nations to repel the invaders, like they do in Independence Day and all them kind of films. The last film's Jurassic Park deals with the theories of evolution and claim God's words are lies. I won't get into the theory of evolution and all that at the moment. That will be for another video. What's important to understand is the first step is that those earthquakes will hit at different parts of the world where scientific and archaeological teachings have indicated that arcane mysteries have been buried. By those types of earthquakes, it will be possible for scientists to rediscover those arcane mysteries, which will be used to discredit all fundamental religious doctrines. This is the first preparation for the plan for humanity, because what they want to do is destroy the beliefs of all Christians and Muslims on the planet. To do that, they need some false proof from the far past that will prove to all nations that their religions have all been misinterpreted and misunderstood. Second step to Project Bluebeam involves a gigantic space show with 3-dimensional optical holograms and sounds, laser projection of multiple holographic images to different parts of the world, each receiving a different image according to the predominating regional, national religious faith. This new God's voice will be speaking in all languages. In order to understand that, we must study various secret services research done in the last 25 years, particularly the Soviets, as they perfected an advanced computer, even exported them and fed them with a minute psychological particulars based on their studies of the anatomy and electromechanical composition of the human body, and the studies of the electrical, chemical and biological properties of the human brain. These computers were fed as well with the languages of all human cultures and their meanings. The dialects of all the cultures have been fed into the computers from satellite transmissions. The Soviets began to feed the computers with the objective programs like the ones of the new Messiah. It also seems that the Soviets have resorted to suicidal methods with the human society by allocating electronic wavelengths for every person and every society and culture to induce suicidal thoughts if the person doesn't comply with the dictates of the New World Order. There are 2 different aspects of Step 2. The first is the space show. The space show, the holographic images will be used in a simulation of the ending, during which all nations will be showing scenes which will be the fulfillment of that which they desire, to verify the prophecies and anniversary events. These will be projected from satellites onto the sodium layer about 60 miles above the Earth. We see tests every once in a while, but they are called UFOs and flying saucers or floating cities. The result of these deliberately staged events will be to show the world the new Christ, the new Messiah, matriarch for the intermediate implementation of the new world religion. Enough truth will be foisted upon an unsuspecting world to hook them into the lie. Even the most learned will be deceived. The project has perfected the ability for some device to lift up an enormous number of people, as in a rapture, and whisk the entire group into a never land. We see tests of this device in the abduction of humans by those mysterious little grey aliens who snatch people out of their beds and through windows into waiting motherships. The calculated resistance to the universal religion and the new Messiah and the ensuing holy wars will result in the loss of human life on a scale never imagined before in all human history. Just to give you a little taste, watch this little video I've managed to pull up, and this is a basic blue beam technology and what it can do, and it is amazing. Not a single area will be excluded, with computer animation and sounds appearing to emanate from the very depths of space. Astonished, ardent followers of the various creeds will witness their own returned messiahs in convincing, lifelike reality. Then the projections of Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Krishna, etc. will merge into one after correct explanations of the mysteries and revelations will have been disclosed. This one God will in fact be the Antichrist, who will explain that the various scriptures have been misunderstood and misinterpreted, and that religions of old are responsible for turning brother against brother, sister against sister, and nation against nation. Therefore, old religions must be abolished to make way for the new age, new world religion, representing the one God, Antichrist, they see before them. Overseas, experimentation is taking place on hostages, held by the United States, Canada, Great Britain, Australia, Germany, Finland, and France. Additionally, there has been a long series of bizarre suicides among British computer scientists, all of whom had connection to the United States Navy. What it is possible to ask before such a psychology of terror is this: would any government, corporation, or psychiatrist willfully promote such horror today? The answer is quite obviously yes. Government agencies and the corporations that work for them toward New World Order are prepared to promote anything that will help them achieve their objective of total societal social control. As for the question of why, for one thing, if you terrify the public and make them fear for their safety, they will allow you to implement draconian law enforcement practice, disarm them and keep extensive records on them, and they only have to tell you that it is all to protect them. Secondly, it promotes the decay of the present democratic forms of political systems and leads societies to search for alternative methods of political ideology. Of course, the alternative has already been planned. It is called the New World Order, and it will not have your safety or interests at heart. As George Bush said, read my lips. Fear has always been used by powerful elite to control and subjugate the masses. The old maxim, divide and conquer, is being played out to limit worldwide to ensure that everyone is frightened for their personal safety and to be suspicious of everyone else. This too is a form of mind control. Look how many times you hear the word terror, terror, terror suspects, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, they're terrorists, watch out for terrorists are in our back garden, terrorists. It implants it psychologically into your brain. So you are already allowing laws to be passed that are not for your safety. They are for control over you. To go further in regard in the new technology, which is the base of the NASA Bluebeam project, we have to consider this statement by psychologist James V. McConnell, which was published in the 1970s issue of Psychology Today. He said, the day has come where we can combine sensory deprivation with drug hypnosis and astute manipulation of reward and punishment to gain almost absolute control over an individual's behaviour. It should then be possible to achieve a very rapid and highly effective type of positive brainwashing that would allow us to make dramatic changes in a person's behaviour and personality. Now, when we talked before about that kind of ray and the telepathic and electronically augmented communication, the kind of rays that are fed from the memories of computers which store massive data about humans, human language and dialects, we said that the people will be reached from within, making each person to believe that his own God is speaking directly from within his or her own soul. We referred to that kind of technology and that kind of thinking that same psychologist was espousing. That is, we should be trained from birth that we should do we should all do what society wants us to do rather than what we want to do ourselves. That's because they have the technology to do it. No one should now be allowed to have their own individual personality. The statement and these ideas are important because it is the basic teaching of the United Nations that no one owns his or her own personality. And that same psychologist claims that no one has any say-so about the kind of personality they acquire, and there is no reason to believe you have the right to refuse to acquire a new personality if your old personality is considered antisocial. What is important in this declaration is the New World Order will be set up over the current system, meaning the old way of thinking and behaviour and religion will be considered the old and incorrect way of thinking, and that they can change it. One of the eradication camps of the United Nations to make sure that anyone with this antisocial behaviour will be disposed of quickly, so that other modified individuals will be able to fulfil the needs and agendas of the New World Order without being distracted by the truth. This goes without saying already. They control us all, our day-to-day lives. They tell us what is right, what is wrong, how to bring your children up. They basically tell you what to eat, what not to eat, how to live, how not to live. We are sheep. We are following along with the wolf at our door, and we are complicit with them to take over us. If we go further into the different reports we have presented, we find that the mind control operations and technology include a transmitter that broadcasts at the same frequency as the human nervous system, which transmitter is manufactured by the Loral Electro-Optical System in Pasadena, California. Loral, a major defense contractor, has previously conducted research on directed energy weapons for Lieutenant General Leonard Perez of the U.S. Air Force, who was searching for a weapon that could implant messages into the minds of enemy while urging his own troops on to superhuman deeds of valor. The device employs electromagnetic radiation of gigahertz frequencies pulsed at an extremely low frequency, ALF. It is used to torture people both physically and mentally from a distance. Weapons of this type are thought to have been used against a British woman protesting the presence of American cruise missiles at Greenham Common Air Base during the 1970s. This weapon can be used to induce total sensory deprivation by broadcasting signals into the auditory nerve at such high power that it blocks the ability of the individual to hear themselves think. The process employed by such ALF technology are described in various US Defense Department publications, including one entitled The Electromagnetic Spectrum and Low Intensity Conflict by Captain Paul E. Tyler, Medical Commandment USA Navy, which is included in a collection entitled Low Intensity Conflict and Modern Technology Edict by Lieutenant Colonel David G. Dean, USAF. The paper was delivered in 1984 and the collection published 1986 by Air University Press, Maxwell Air Force Base, Alabama. You can find them all online. Another pulse microwave device can deliver audible signals directly to an individual while remaining undetectable to anyone else. The technology is very simple and can be built by using an ordinary police radar gun. The microwave being generated by the device is modulated at an audio frequency and can broadcast messages directly into the brain. Now here we come to NASA Bluebeam project. The broadcasting of subliminal two-way communication and images from the depths of space correspond directly to that kind of technology. In this book, The Body Electric, Nobel Prize nominee Robert Baker describes a series of experiments conducted in the early 1960s by Alan Fry, where this phenomena was demonstrated, as well as later experiments conducted. In 1973 at the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research by Dr. Joseph C. Sharp, who personally underwent tests in which he proved he could hear and understand messages delivered to him in an echo-free isolation chamber via a pulsed microwave audiogram, which is an analogue of the word sound vibration beamed into his brain. Baker then goes on to state, such a device has obvious application for covert operations designed to drive a target crazy with unknown voices or deliver undetectable instructions to a programmed assassin. Now figure out, when we hear that voice from the New World Messiah, who would be speaking from space to all the sane people of the earth, who might give instructions to zealots and religious fanatics. We would see hysteria, social mayhem on a scale never witnessed before on this planet. No police forces in the world, even as a combined front, could deal with the disorder that would follow. A 1978 book entitled Microwave Auditory Effect and Application by James C. Lynn describes how audible voices can be broadcast directly into the brain. This technology could actually allow the blind to see and the deaf to hear. Instead, it has been turned into a weapon to enslave the world. Alan Fry also reports that he could speed up, slow down, or stop the hearts of isolated frogs by synchronizing the pulsed rate of a microwave beam with the heart itself. Whoever directed the MK Ultra program at that time was forced to discuss the scope of the CIA's research to find techniques of activation the human organism by remote electronic means. So this is something that exists right now, that has been pursued to its highest degree, that can be used from space to reach any person, any place on the face of the earth. There is nowhere to hide. If we go deeper into that process of mind control over the people, we find that the equipment and technology has been used to influence politics in a much more direct fashion. Michael Dookies, the Democrat candidate running against George Bush in the 1988 election, was targeted with microwave technology in order to impede his public speaking performance. Once the public opinion poll showed he posed a serious threat to Bush's election prospects. He also claims that the equipment was used against Kitty Dukakis and drove her to the brink of suicide. So, all around the world, covertly, it is being used to sway politics, probably religion, wars. It's happening all around us, and there is nothing we can do except be aware, because when the time comes and the final phase of Blue Book is realised and presented to us all in the form of the God that you pray to, whether it's Mohammed, Buddha, Jesus, it will not be real. It will be the New World Order taking the final steps to take control of the masses. Whether or not you allow yourself to become one of these sheep that will willfully and blindly follow, or you will take a stand against it. Know that it's happening. Realise this is not mystical fantasy. This is not lunacy. This stuff has been researched, patented, programmed, and used. It's time to open your eyes to what is around you and how you are being predictive programmed, to how you are being controlled, to how you are being taught what to think, how to act, and how to talk. Your life is not your own. Make it your own. It is down to you and no one else. Thank you all. This has been Jane. I hope you enjoyed the video. Look out for my stuff in the future. Like and subscribe, please.